Hello. In this video, we're going to be looking at what can sometimes be the hardest part of writing, which is coming up with the initial idea. Whether you're writing something for a competition, with the plan of getting it published, or just something for yourself, the first thing you need to do is come up with an idea of what you're going to write. Now, when I say you need to come up with an idea, I don't necessarily mean an idea for a story. This may sound strange, but stories are often written from different starting points. You may come up with a character first, a location, a single line of dialogue, even a title you think is interesting. I was once talking about the idea of femme fatale characters, and the image of a black-haired woman walking through a luxurious restaurant burst into my head. I had no idea who she was or what the story she might be involved in was, but I knew I wanted to use this character somewhere. She was my starting idea for what went on to become a whole crime novel. So where to start? Here are a few ideas on how to get inspiration if you're struggling. Adapt a story from real life. People often say that life is stranger than fiction, and sometimes that can very well be the case. So many books, films and TV shows have been based on real life events. You can find a dozen plot ideas just by reading the news headlines. This doesn't mean you have to tell the story as it happened in real life. You might just find a character or a single event you want to take and incorporate into something else. Apart from the news, you can try historical texts, watching documentaries. You could even use existing non-fiction books to inspire a fictional novel, short story or script. Thinking more broadly, you can source inspiration from a podcast, poem, even a self-help book. Adapt the plot of a fairy tale or folk legend. Many of the best book ideas come from storytelling that transcends multiple generations. The graphic novel Sumo draws on centuries of Japanese tradition. The screenplay of The Little Mermaid was based on Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tale. If a great story has endured all the way to the present era, there's a good chance its themes will resonate with today's audiences, just as well as they did in past generations. Of course, a lot of these stories have been told 100 times already, so maybe try and find some of the more obscure legends which haven't been so widely used. Create a character based on someone you know. This is a good starting point, but be aware that most people don't translate into fictional characters cleanly. What I mean by that is, in terms of fiction, most normal people are actually quite boring. Characters in books are meant to be realistic but also exaggerated. So while it's a good place to start, don't get bogged down in making them identical. Also be aware that your friend or family member might not be as delighted as you being in a story, especially if they do questionable things or don't get a happy ending, so always think of disguising them a bit. Write about a moment in your own life. Many authors begin their writing process by ruminating on an event that happened in their own lives. Even things which seem insignificant or boring to you having lived through them might be fascinating to other people. And much like using real people, while you might want to start from something you've experienced, it doesn't mean you have to stay true to what actually happened. Analyse the plot of a book you admire. Revisit one of your favourite books, whether that's a recent standout or the first book you truly loved. As you reconnect with the plot, think about what makes the storytelling work for you. Does the book have a plot twist on every page? Is it a steadily unfolding character study? What elements might inspire plot ideas for your own story? Ask yourself, what if? Think about a well-known era from history, and imagine a few key details were changed. What if all those witches they burnt in medieval times turned out to really be magic? What if you had won that lottery ticket you got for your 16th birthday? What if the Berlin Wall had never come down? On a smaller scale, what if, while you're sat here listening to this video, the fire alarm goes off, or you realise you've forgotten to do something very important? Asking what if can be a great starting point to spark your imagination. Embrace the bizarre. Some of the best book ideas may seem bizarre at first, but they went on to produce hits that topped bestseller lists. When it comes to your own work, don't be too quick to censor yourself. Remember that many a best-selling book was once dismissed as too radical. Don't censor yourself. Write down everything interesting that occurs to you. This might be a place that grabs your attention, a character who pops up in your mind, an opening scene which you have no idea where it might go. While not all writing ideas will yield fully formed novels, it's important to follow inspiration and see where the creative storylines take you. Maybe those little ideas will all come together to form one big idea, you never know. Of course, there are a million ways to get inspired, but I hope the ideas above give you a place to get started. And if you're really struggling, sometimes the best way is to simply start writing. Imagination is like a muscle. It gets stronger the more you use it. Just make sure you always have a notebook or notes app on your phone and write down ideas as soon as you have them, otherwise you risk forgetting them. That's all for this video. Take a look through my available videos and give them a watch. I'm always adding more, and if you have a topic you'd like to see covered, just pop it in the comments below. Happy writing!